everyone. This is your host with the most adjacent, everyone's favorite German chocolate, me, JT. And I am the LGBTQIA+ Regional Engagement Coordinator of the South here at PrideNet. I come to welcome you to a beautiful Time Talk event entitled Words to My Younger Self, a two-part live stream forum that seeks to explore and provide best practices, strategies, resources, and storytelling to improve programs, services, and initiatives that address the impact of HIV on youth and young adults. It's a time to be aware. It's a time to be informed. It's a time to listen. In the meantime, enjoy these two videos to learn more about what we're doing at PrideNet with the All of Us research program and the Pride study. Then Richard, our wonderful moderator, is going to take it away, and you're going to hear from some very dynamic panelists as they share their experiences. Have a great day and enjoy.
Are we good with the sound? Okay. I'm a Russian-speaking, gay Catholic,
Chinese, Mexican,
Latina,
white male,
biracial,
bisexual,
trans woman,
lesbian.
Colombian American.
I kept trying to come out to my parents, but they really don't understand.
I mean, I like being a lesbian.
I don't wish I was straight at all. I think that this makes me special.
And especially in this time and age, being gay is seen as an asset.
You know, the person who really is most accepting of my transgender identity is my mom.
She came at me with a knife and screaming that she would rather see me dead than living the life that I was living.
I knew that there were aspects of who I was and how I was in the world that were not welcomed in the medical world.
When I visit a new doctor, it's always a challenge.
I had colon cancer about 10 years ago.
One of the first things I feel like I have to do is kind of dispense with this notion that I'm straight. So what are you using for birth control? And I said, nothing.
You don't want to go into a clinic and then end up having to educate your own doctor.
And she just stopped and she looked at me like I'm an idiot.
That's what they're there for. They should already know.
You know, going to the doctor should be a safe place.
I try to avoid situations where I feel like I'm going to be stigmatized or discriminated against, but I know that that is something that I can't always control.
Our community has gone through an enormous number of hard things over many, many years.
You know, thing after thing hits us, and we always come back.
I mean, really the community provides, in many ways, everything.
We really need to join together as the diverse and dynamic communities that we are and help to transform the health system together.
I always feel that if my struggles can help someone else not have to go through the same thing I went through, then it hasn't all been in vain.
The All of Us research program is an ambitious effort to gather health information from 1 million or more people across the U.S. Researchers will be able to use this information to uncover new, more precise ways to prevent and treat disease and to keep people healthy.
When I came out, I didn't feel comfortable, I didn't feel safe, and that was a very hard place to be.
Coming out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, even now transgender, it was hard to do that. And so because of that, whenever you went in to see a doctor, you were too afraid to really actually say who you are.
The biggest obstacle, to be honest with you, and simply is this trust, right? Trust from the community on not being misgendered, not being mistreated.
The health community, healthcare, they didn't get that. At that time, they felt like everything is one fit. That no matter what happens to one community, it's going to happen exactly the same thing to the other community. And that's not the case.
The lack of data has been a major problem for a number of years. It's really only been in the last 10 years or so that the big health systems, the surveys that go out to people nationwide, have included any questions about sexual orientation, and only a handful of them have any questions about gender identity.
Oftentimes what happens, particularly within communities that don't feel safe within a medical field, is they'll prolong and they'll wait and they'll say, it'll get better, and then by the time they go to the doctor, it's so late.
My family has had issues like high blood pressure, diabetes, so I'm very mindful of that and really trying to do everything I can to resist that.
One of the things for me that I have to be careful of is, my heart. My mom died at a very at a very young age, at the age of 43, of a heart attack.
What I really appreciate about all of us is really taking this approach to make it inclusive of as many people as we can.
We'll have the information from a million people, people of color, LGBT people, people from diverse communities, to tell us about themselves.
To get their biological information into the database so that there's more information to work with when trying to develop new ways of treating people and treating those disease processes.
That's the only way we'll be able to find out and understand whatever that we need to do to take care of ourselves.
That's a call to be honest and open about being LGBT. It's really a much broader call to stand up and be counted. All of us being seen will give us hope.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this conversation. As we mentioned, this is a time talk. Right now, we are experiencing some technical difficulties, but that's only because we're about to do something really impactful. So when that happens, somebody's a hater. Technology. But in the meantime, we want you to drop your questions for the panelists. Drop your questions for the time talk. We definitely want to hear from you because there's a lot of special things happening. And that includes audience participation. So thank you for tuning in to learn more about the All of Us research program as well as the Pride study. You can Google that and find out more information on how you can join or find out more information. And Richard, our wonderful moderator, is about to be up here and show out for you. So we have something very dynamic for you. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's about to be on like popcorn.
Oh, hold on. Oh, this. Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you all for your patience. I want to welcome back everyone to our second part of hashtag NYHAAD Time Talk. Words to my younger self, here for National Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. I am your host, Richard Hutchinson. I am the co-founder and executive director of He Is Valuable Incorporated, and in this space, I have the honor of serving as a director of community engagement for This Is Your Moment Time Network. Today we are going to, this is the second part of an amazing conversation that we've been having all day, and now you all get to join us for this second part, and we're really excited. But before we dive into that, I want to share some staggering statistics with you that highlight the urgency and importance of this event and events like this. Did you all know that in 2019, over 35,000 people in the United States were diagnosed with HIV, but more than half of those people were under the age of 35? So that means that more than 50% of the new HIV diagnoses in 2019 were people 13 to 34, the youngest people in America. And it's not just about numbers, right? It's about the impact of HIV on young people that extends beyond just who are living with the virus, but it affects our mental health, our relationships, and our sense of self-worth. It's also disproportionately, which we know impacts communities of color, particularly Black and Brown and Latinx communities. In fact, according to Kaiser Family Foundation study, Black youth or Black young people are twice as likely to contract HIV compared to their white counterparts. That's why events like this event today are so critical and so important for conversations. It's an opportunity for us to raise awareness, to reduce stigma, and encourage everyone to take action when it comes to supporting young people living with and impacted by HIV. I want to take a moment first to thank all of you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. But a special thanks to our sponsors and our community partners who have made this event possible. Your support is essential in helping us spread this important message and make a real difference in the lives of young people. So we want to give a special shout out to Baller Life, the Pride Study, and All of Us Study with PrideNet. Shout out to Positive Impact Health Centers, Thrive Support Services, and many other organizations, including Southern AIDS Coalition and the National Minority AIDS Council. Thank you all for joining us. And before we begin, I want to invite everyone, because we want to see who's in the room and who's in the room with us tonight. Will you put you can put your name and where you're tuning in from, so we can get an account and do a shout out to the people that's joining in the conversation. We got some giveaways that we're going to be giving out tonight, so I want you all to be paying attention, be in those comments, and be ready to give us an answer, give us a statement so that you can give out the gift cards. Again, shout out to Positive Impact Health Centers who are sponsoring the giveaways that we're giving out today. We're giving out $25 e-gift cards, so pay attention. There'll be some questions, there'll be some statements, there'll be some things that I'll ask, and we want your response in the comments. My fellow organizers, Cody and JT, will help me monitor so we can make it fair to see who's answering the questions on time, and then we'll be able to shout you out and follow up with you later to get the information so we can get you those gift cards. Sounds good? Let me know in the comments if y'all ready, if y'all with me. Come on, hot Atlanta, I see you. Atlanta, Baltimore, what's up? Gary, Indiana, what's up? Darion's mommy, hey. Yes, the room is lit. We like that. But before we begin, I want to start off. Let's start off with a giveaway, right? So those of you who have been present for our first half of today's conversation, I have a question for you all, and I'm going to give away 2 e-gift cards for people who can answer this question for me. Let me know when y'all ready. I'm gonna be looking in the comments. Let me know y'all ready. Tell me y'all ready. Say hashtag we ready. We ready for the conversation. And I'll ask the question. I see people from ATL, Atlanta. See Gary, Indiana as well. Indianapolis, what's up? Thank you all for joining us. And while you're at it, if you're watching us live on YouTube, which you should be sure to subscribe. Thank you for joining us on this stage on our YouTube. But right now, if you can go on YouTube and type in @Time Network and follow our Time Network page, We have some amazing content and initiatives that are coming up, and we need you all support. So follow the @TIYM Network page on YouTube and let us know that you've done that. And we'll show some more about what TIYM has coming up as well. So y'all ready for this question? I see Ryan's ready. I see Droopy is ready. I see you. So let's go. Come on, SpongeBob. So if you were watching the conversation earlier or had a chance to watch it again back on YouTube or from a different social media channel, the question I want you all to answer is, can someone name, and the first two people to do this we're going to get the gift cards. Name one of the key strategies that the panelists talked about in regards to how we can engage better young people, youth and young adults around HIV prevention, care, treatment, and research. Drop that in the comments. The first two people will get a gift card, and I'll read your answers aloud as well. Yes, I'm gonna give you all some time to do that. But while you all do that, I'll say that today we have some amazing young people who are people living with HIV who continue to do this work in their respective from their respective fields and in their respective communities. So we'll hear from their work, their personal journey living with HIV, and the importance of the impact that HIV has on youth and young adults, again, here in the United States. So I'm going to be excited that these two people, again, I get the honor of calling my friends. They're going to share their stories, their best practices, and drop some gems for everybody. And so that we can really do our best to really continue this conversation around youth and young adults and the impact of HIV here in the United States. Let's see. I see Droop says, that's the first one I see, says, have the youth take the lead, not just be on a board, but be the ED, like Queen Marina said. Yes, thank you for that. And I remember seeing you earlier, so thank you for joining in for the second half. That means that we're doing something right, and we appreciate your participation. So yes, Marnina, young Black woman doing amazing work with Southern AIDS Coalition, did mention in call to action to organizations that when we talk about the meaningful involvement of young people and meaningful involvement of young people living with HIV, we need to go beyond just telling young people that they can just be on boards or show up to be a part of community advisory boards or focus groups, but they should be leading organizations, for example, being executive directors and pouring into their initiatives with the resources that already exist. So thank you for that, Droopy. One more. So we'll get your information after this to follow up with you. I'll give you all a couple more seconds before we dive into bring up our first panelist. See, and continue to tell us where you all are from if you're just tuning in. Feel free to share this if you would like on your personal social media pages, things like that. And I appreciate you all's patience. As JT had mentioned, technology is not always on our side. It's not always our best friend. So we may be experiencing some technical difficulties, but bear with us because this is going to be an amazing conversation. I'll give everyone a couple of more minutes to do that. But while we do that, I want to I'm going to introduce our first panelist. So again, if you're just tuning in, welcome back to part 2 of our hashtag NYHAAD Time Talk. It's all about a national conversation on National Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. Words to my younger self. Again, I'm your host, Richard, and I'm excited. I'm going to be here with my friend, fellow colleague, a young activist, and a person doing amazing work around HIV and young people, Mr. Darion Edmond.
Hey, Richard, and good afternoon or good evening to everyone who's watching online.
Hey, Darion, thank you again. First of all, thank you all. Thank you for joining in on this conversation. And I want to shout out to you and all the other panelists who helped put this together. You know, it shows we really wanted to make sure that we not only talk about these conversations, but really what it means to really engage people in real time. And so this event is an example of how you can bring not only young people, but people mostly impacted in your communities together to uplift their voices, to host events, to talk about issues that are most important to them. And so I want to thank you, Darion, amongst all of the other panelists, for helping to organize this, identifying some key issues, and bringing key partners together and lending your voice and sharing your story.
Thank y'all for allowing me to be a part of it.
Most definitely. But so first, start off, let's tell the people about your journey with HIV and what led you to start doing this work in the first place.
So my name is Darion. I am a Black gay man living in Atlanta. I've been living with HIV for the last 10 years. November 13th will mark 10 years for me. It doesn't seem that long, but 10 years, wow. But at the age of 18, I was diagnosed, and what pretty much got me into wanting to be an advocate, use my voice to advocate for others was just the lack of support that I've seen in the community. Upon sharing on Facebook, maybe like 3 months after me being diagnosed, sharing my status, and just the amount of people who poured into me in my inbox, just flocking with the amount of they wish they had the courage to, or the struggles that they was dealing with. And speaking to a guy in Atlanta about his difficulties with engaging into care, and watching how the news and stuff led to like one in two every two Black gay men would be diagnosed with HIV, kind of like struck up a fire in me to be able to say, you know, at times I'm very shy and very reserved, but something was in me that was like, you better find a voice, you better find it quick, and you better use it. And at the age of 18 to now, that's what I've been doing. Which led me to 10 years now. I am currently working at Thrive SS, where I serve as their team lead for their peer support department, as well as self-love department. And in my role, I serve as our facilitator for our support group. Also overseeing some of our peer support programs, just ensuring that people are connected to care, standing to care, and being provided with the resources and tools to like actually thrive while living with HIV. I'm not sure if we lost Richard or if his thing froze.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I ain't going nowhere. It's been doing that to me all day, but I'm here. I've been listening. Thank you for sharing that. And I think you have a very unique story, and I think, you know, being a lot of just imagine listening to the audience being 18 years old and being diagnosed with HIV and not having support, not knowing the language, not knowing, you know, about HIV treatment, not knowing having the language, not really knowing other people living with HIV, like how so many young people. That's a narrative, right? That a lot of young people are, dealing with, and even in 2023, that's a thing, right? But work that you like, that Thrive SS. Shout out to my family at Thrive SS. I'm a proud member of Thrive as well. So shout out to everything that Thrive is doing, and particularly, in your work in the self-love department, which is everything. I just love the innovation of the self-love, and because we talked a lot about that and the importance of self-love and self-worth earlier when we talking about young people who are dealing with so many intersectional stigmas that they deal with, like being, living with HIV is one set of stigma, but if you're like a young person, you living in the South, you're a Black person that's living in a place where racism is running rampant, you're LGBT person of the LGBT experiences, so you experience homophobia and transphobia, all those layer stigmas, but on top of that, adding being a young person could be a lot for someone to deal with, and let alone like engage in healthcare. And so it's I commend you for uplifting your story to show an example of how to make it, but also showing an example for people who are set out to serve young people on like these are the things that we can be doing. And so you talked about in your role at Thrive, the peer support groups and the peer support services, and like that's self-love support group. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and share with the audience how important that is, that community building and that community support is for a young person, or any person living with HIV, or impacted by HIV?
So I would share that it's very important. Before my role even was at Thrive in the peer support department, I would say having a community is very important because upon sharing my status, I realized that I wasn't the only person, and that there were thousands of people like me, like that was so close. But also moving to Atlanta and being connected to community taught me that it was like, oh wow, like this thing is real. Like this is this. And not just for community, being gay, but like community of people who are living with HIV but are able to like thrive and still get together, have fun. So that is an example that I kind of set within my role is that you come through Thrive doors and yeah, you may be addressing like linkage to care for HIV, but we want to know like you're so much more than that coming through the door. So with the peer support group, like we don't even discuss like HIV as a main topic. We discuss it with leading with self-love. And with self-love, anything that touches you that you touch or come in contact with will be dealt with love. So, that's a major part of the role. And also like it feels like it's like saddening like within my role about how many peers that come to me with like 1999 or 2000 as their birth year and it like still like takes me back to them like okay this is still happening and it makes me question like why how what are we doing wrong. So within my role I try to make sure that people are heard, but people are also heard with beyond things that get, that kind of like comes in contact with HIV.
Very good point. I think that's a key point to mention, and I hope the audience takes that. You don't always have to create spaces. Creating safe spaces and build community doesn't always have to center itself around the topic of HIV. Because what we do realize is that, and it's something that Marnita had mentioned to uplift to the audience earlier was, people living with HIV don't just live single issue lives. Like HIV is not the only thing that is important to us, especially being young, Black, LGBT, or same-gender loving individuals. There's multiple other things. We learn about relationships. We learn about jobs. We learn about education. There's so many other things that we can talk about. And HIV can be a part of that, but it doesn't always have to center it, right? And sometimes for young people, from my experience out here and doing the work that I've done, like people feel, particularly young gay Black men, feel very inundated with HIV stuff, like testing this and HIV that, and it's like, how about we talk about holistically, like what does it mean to be a person, and then talk about your overall wellness and your health and how that it can be incorporated. Because what I found, even when, like you said, Darian, we both have done support groups, facilitated discussions, facilitated things, and you realize that when you don't center HIV, it always comes up. It comes up naturally when people feel we create a safe space of comfort when we're talking about other issues that intersect HIV, right? Because the reality is that there's going to be people living with HIV in those spaces, right? And if they feel comfortable and we normalize their existence as people, then the conversation oftentimes really continues to come up. And so we want to charge you all in creating those same spaces. Like Darian said, like maybe we don't always need to center the topic of HIV because we recognize that it's a very complex issue and it's not a single lens approach to it. So commend you for all the work that you all are doing, for what you're doing, and everything that Thrive continues to do in regards to supporting people living with HIV and those who are impacted by HIV, particularly Black, same gender loving, gay and bisexual and queer men. Amazing work. So I wanted to highlight that because you brought up the 1 and 2 statistic that kind of like gave you pause and kind of put things in reality to you. So I want to share with the audience a little bit more information about statistics around that. So according to the CDC, in age view, they say 8 in 10 of new HIV diagnoses in 2020 were amongst young people. 13 to 24 was attributed to male sexual contact. And so what we do know, and I think it's just not foreign information, the young Black gay men, particularly ages 18 to 34, are at very high risk for HIV, right? Which means that there's very unique challenges that young gay Black men, or black men in general, but particularly young gay Black men face, right? And so And living in a city like Atlanta, where I think someone had alluded to the kind of stigma that comes around Atlanta, and people don't want to come, they want to come here because we know the girls want to come here and they want to engage and they want to have a good time. But then there's also this stigma conversation about HIV, or I don't want to go there. Someone mentioned earlier, like I don't want to go there because I'm not trying to come back, and I don't want to get that. I don't want to come back with nothing, and there's so much HIV running rampant in Atlanta. Can you speak to the unique experience of Black gay men, particularly young gay Black men in cities like Atlanta versus in cities like a small city like where you're from, right? Like, what are the unique challenges that young gay Black men face that not only put us at risk for HIV, but can really make a negative impact on our journey living with HIV? Because we are less to be in care, less to be retained, right? Less to stay engaged in care, to be on medication, higher rates of mortality. What are some of those unique challenges that young gay Black men face?
I would say in Atlanta it's definitely different. It gives you a sense of freedom to be able to live authentically as yourself, but also to like be able to express yourself. So you're not feeling like you have to hide who you are or stand in the background of who you want to be. So those kind of things are great things about big cities like Atlanta and Houston and things like that. But coming from a small city and coming to Atlanta community, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
How community shows up, what supports looks like, resources that are available and there to be offered is different. So that's one thing that has always kept me in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I've moved home a few times, but community and fellowship is like what keeps drawing me back. So being in Atlanta is just the amount of freedom, the resources that are present, um, and the examples of people in the community that we have to look up to is different. So moving to Atlanta was one of my first times going to a city and seeing a older Black gay man,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to be like, okay, cool. So at the age I don't have to cut it off. It those examples exist, and those are very important because it gives people the liberty to be able to like just live. Um, and then when it comes to HIV, if you're a person who is living authentically as yourself and with that freedom, when it comes to like connected to resources, you won't allow stigma to not, make you want to go and get tested, or what you hear in the community of that surrounds HIV and stereotypical like, topics or just the ignorance in HIV. So Atlanta definitely gives you that freedom versus coming from like Gary, Indiana.
Good point. Yeah. And so it speaks volumes to like how important it is to model that type of support in other places and what we can do in those cities and spaces where young people, particularly younger Black men, don't have that level of community, right? Dealing with homophobia and not feeling supported, not feeling seen, how that can really impact a person's health outcomes, right? Not being able to have a community where health is talked about. Like it means a lot to be in the space. I think for a lot of us who are here in Atlanta, who are in this space in this era of where Black gay men of all ages are coming together and having conversations, both young, old, and different, are able to have conversations and be in space together to talk about that. I think this is that's something that none of us, whether we're old or young, have ever experienced, no matter where we're from, to be able to be in this time and in this space, to have organizations like Thrive SS and organizations ran by other young gay Black men is powerful. Representation matters, and we talked a lot about that earlier, like how important representation is, because people need to see. I need to see other Black gay men, same gender loving men, or queer men who are thriving with HIV. They're in relationships, they're getting married, they have families, they have good jobs, they're making their dreams come true. Like that is important in order to get someone to feel that self-love and that self-worth to say, hey, like I deserve to get tested, I deserve to go to my doctor, I deserve to take my treatment, I deserve to engage actively in my healthcare, and and play a vital role in that. Like that is so important, and it's great to highlight. The difference that you recognize coming from a smaller town. We have no support, but in a bigger city where There's lots of support, though we're not perfect and we still got work to do, but there's still much more support around that. So thank you for highlighting that. And then one more question I have for you is like, so what is your call to action? And we'll talk more about this as a panel later, but what is your call to action to those organizations or people who are set out to serve young people living with HIV and impacted with HIV? What would you say your message is to them? Some things that they should focus on in their call to action.
I would say when it comes to creating programs that will be programs that youth utilizes, allow you to be at the table when it comes to the planning for those, and not just at the table as a person feeling like, okay, my input is matters, but as a person that is leading the topic at the table, feeling like I have the ability to use my voice. And then also including youth, you know, we all have friends that fall into the youth age grades, like, but include them in these conversations, not just taking up space for ourselves. You know, I've been doing storytelling or like being a part of panels since like 2013, but it's like it always makes me feel so good when I see another person or a newer person at the table. I'm always making space for, you know, my friends to be at the table or other youth. But you know, when it comes to programming, conversations, when it comes to what the youth needs are and addressing those needs, um, we shouldn't be making those decisions that would impact the youth. They need to be a part of that conversation and not just a part of it, but leading it.
Thank you for that. The people you heard that call to action, I think there's a lot of common. If you notice from other panelists are saying the same thing. Like the meaningful involvement, MIPA is a big thing, and if you don't know, MIPA stands for Meaningful Involvement of People Living with HIV. And that means, as Narnina said, and as Darian said, and like all other panelists said, like the meaningful involvement means that we are there. We're at the table from the thought to the inception to the leadership. We are in all parts of this thing. And if we really want to make an impact amongst young people, we got to ensure that they are at the table telling us what they need, showing us what they need, and then pouring into them to help them bring to life what it is that they see visions for, right? Things are going to change. Things that may work for us or a previous generation may not work for our current youth, right? So we need to actively listen, right? That's why we say today's event is so important, because it is a time to be aware, it's a time to be informed, but most importantly, it is a time to listen to what young people are saying and listen to these strategies. And so, Darian, I thank you for that. But before you go, I want you to pose a question to the group, because we're giving out another gift card. It's time for another gift card giveaway. Shout out to Positive Impact Health Centers, PHIT. Shout out to Positive Impact Health Centers for sponsoring our gift cards. But Darian, I want you to pose a question to the group that you want them to answer, and around a topic that young people living with HIV. You can ask a question, and whoever answers the question first in the comments will get the next gift card.
Any question?
Yeah. Something you want to do?
There's no questions coming to my head, but if anyone wants to answer the question I shared, we know at what age was I diagnosed?
That's a good one. You heard the question. Darian says, at what age was he diagnosed? Whoever gives us the answer in the comments will be the first person to answer will get the gift card. Okay, I see Jonathan. Jonathan says keep up the good work, y'all. And Jonathan says 18. I saw Jonathan first. I want to confirm with my team in the back. Was Jonathan the first person? I believe that's the first person I saw. Thank you, Jonathan. Darian, that was correct?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, John. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Thank you, Darian, for sharing your gems, sharing your story. I know you've done it 10 times over, but every time you don't have to. So we want to give you your flowers, and thank you for lending your voice and lending your light and sharing your expertise and your light with all of us. And we'll be hear back from Darian a little bit later after we talk to our other panelists. But thank you, Darian, for joining us. And we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, no problem. See you guys soon.
So yeah, thank you all. If you are just joining us yet again, thank you for joining us for part 2 of hashtag NYHAAD. Time Talk is a words to our younger self. This is a national live conversation on National Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. So we are charging everyone to listen, to be informed, and to be aware. Like we said, this is a time to be aware, a time to listen, and a time to be informed. Thank you all for joining us. Right now, I want to tell you all, if you're watching us right now on YouTube, we ask that we thank you for being on our main stage. That is our main stage for our program today. But here at TIYM Network, we are really trying to build up our community, build up our following, build up our subscribers, because we got some amazing content coming out for you all. And I'm actually going to share a preview about what time is in just a second. But we ask that you go on YouTube and type in @TIYM, that's TIYM Network, and follow that page. We thank you for joining us on this page, but we want you to follow our main page, which is at @TIYM, TIYM Network. So we're going to give away another gift card in just a second, but I am going to share a video with you all to give you an insight on what TIYM Network is. Alfonso was on with us earlier. He gave us a synopsis of TIYM Network, which stands for This Is Your Moment. And we are essentially a collective of organizations, of people living with HIV organizations that came together to develop some original content, some community-led content that seeks to educate, empower, and entertain the HIV community. Really taking hard, heavy conversations around HIV and infusing it with creative, original content in order to play into initially just start an HIV clinic so that people can be able to watch this content, feel community, feel supported, feel engaged. But essentially, we want to be a network for original content that speaks to all of these amazing issues that we're talking about that impact people living with HIV. And so in a moment, I'm going to share a video with you all to show you all what time is and give you a synopsis of our world. And so y'all can join in on the This Is Your Moment bandwagon. Woo the tears. I want to thank your family for joining. Thank you to the family, and thank you, Kindred. Alfonso posted the YouTube information in the comments. Again, it's YouTube at TIYM Network. I'm going to ask that we queue up that video in the back so we can play the TIYM Network promo. Give me a moment. While we do that, again, we want to make sure you all post in the comments questions that you have for our panelists. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, please be sure to post your comments in the chat because we will be talking about those things in just a moment. Let me make sure. Just trying to queue up the video. We'll make our way back. Okay. Thank you all for bearing with us. We're actually gonna come back to that video in just a second. Got to make sure we get that video queued up so you all can get. We really want to show you. I mean, I'm so excited about everything that TIYM is doing, and we're so excited to show you all a sneak peek of the stuff that we got going on and how you can use this as an example of strategies to use to continue to engage not only young people but other people living with HIV to be involved in this type of work. But as we move along, I have another guest panelist, amazing subject matter expert, if you will, another young person living with HIV who will share their journey and some best practices on how to continue to do our work on better engaging, empowering, and educating young people living with HIV. None other than Thomas Davis. Let's welcome Thomas to the stage, everybody.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Hey Thomas. Hey Tony.
Hey.
What's up? So thank you again. Like I said, everyone, thank you for agreeing to. I hit you up and like, yeah, we got this thing going on. And you immediately agree. So I'm glad that you were enthused to be a part of this, and I'm excited for people to hear your story and your ideas on how we can do better around the lives of young people living with and impacted by HIV. So first of all, tell the people who you are. Tell the people your journey with HIV and how you got into the work.
Well, my name is Thomas Davis. I turned 31 on Wednesday, big Aries energy, and I'm an artist first and foremost. So I've been an actor, singer, dancer my whole life, and right now I'm actually getting I'm pursuing my master's in screenwriting here in Hollywood. But I got into the work because my 8th semester, my last semester of college, I was actually diagnosed with HIV and got into treatment pretty easily. And just after that, I wanted to connect with other people that were like me. So I went looking. This was in like 2010. This was 2013. So I went looking and didn't really see people that looked like me. So I made a video where I talked about my experience and I shared it on my social media platform at the time was Facebook, and it just like, I don't know, just it got this ball rolling. And just from there, I started to get work as a public speaker, worked with, the Human Rights Campaign. I worked with a bunch of other organizations that I got to meet, through the people that I met there. And just, I don't know, I just kind of got pulled into that. And for me, from my work to outreach to research to community development, I've always tried to find a way to bring the arts to that.
Thank you for that. Yes, important work. Staying along the lines of art and artivism is what some of us call, right, and those of us who are creatives who are also doing this work understand the importance of utilizing arts and culture to uplift messages around HIV. So, like, I want you to speak to the importance of that, and like, even if you can provide some examples of how effective that is, on how the audience can, how important it is to utilize arts and culture to infuse messages and engage particularly young people around HIV, and provide some examples on how people can tangibly make this happen in their communities and how they can better engage young people.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this as succinctly as I can, because I have a tendency to rant. But I think the first thing we need to understand is, in the beginning, we had art. We didn't have research. We didn't have medicine. We didn't have community advocates. We didn't have doctors that liked us. We didn't have politicians advocating for us. We had people dying, and we gave tribute to them by using art, doing things in theater, like raising funds for people, doing drag shows, having funerals. Even our funerals were artistic. The way that we protested was artistic. If you look at the history of like ACT UP and TAG and all these other places, you'll see like the things that were sometimes the most effective were when they utilized art, whether it was on posters or using smoke bombs and stuff while they were like storming a place. Like we always had art first, right? I think something that we need to remember too is, as far as young people, arts and entertainment is really something we engage.
So imagine this.
Oh, it's all good. It's something that we engage in daily, right? And I think in times, like we've seen over the past few years, or like, 3 years ago in particular, the arts was a thing that everybody ran to. Everybody needed to for support, to keep our sanity, to keep our connection with the world, and to feel like, we weren't alone, right? So I think something that I always would find myself facing when working in this field, when I worked in this field and was actively doing stuff, was we'd want to see people's stories, or we'd want to hear about their experiences, or understand why, people that look like me and love like me do the things that we do, and like, what motivates us and stuff. And I feel like arts is really is a way to be able to cover all of that, right? Right now, something that I'm learning about in school is what counter narratives are, right? And kind of understanding that when you tell the counter narratives of people, you're sharing the voices of those that are suffering most in society. And you good. And when you do that, that's how you share experiences. That's how you change hearts and minds. So for me, what that looked like in my work was I would, find ways to incorporate arts into behavioral interventions and really have that be the basis for something. Whereas, okay, like I wanted to create community. What does that look like? How do I create community for people, with arts? And for us, that would look like, meeting weekly. We would do different things where we would focus on creative writing. We did a whole lot of dance. We would do photography. We would develop music, do all these things that a lot of people, when you look at it on paper, they're like, this isn't really fiscally sound, or what quantitative data is this going to give me, right? It didn't really look like that. But we would have people that were newly diagnosed within their 6 months, sitting up on panels, talking about their experience, disclosing openly to people that they didn't even know because they felt the love and the support that we were able to create from that. And not only that, by engaging with people that were artistic, it's not just you're supporting something that they believe in, supporting something that they love, and even more importantly, like there's just something special as an artist and as a creative when you make something and you get to see it and other people get to see it, and when you feel understood from that, like I am not the best with my words sometimes, but when people can see something that I choreographed and they just know what I was feeling and what I was trying to get, and they're able to interpret that like that level of visibility has really changed my life.
Thank you for that. That's so like you speaking point, and you adding on to actually what Darion was talking about, the importance of like building that self-love and that self-worth through community, and arts and culture is just a way to do that. And that's, like you said, that's always been a part of our history, and particularly for Black and brown communities, that's just been a part of our culture, right? And the way we've been able to be so resilient in the way we gotta do things. And even more specifically, when we talk about the HIV movement itself, like you talked about, like things like ACT UP and like the community that was built around, that was through arts, culture, and creativity coming together to really build the community, and that's something that can be supported and implemented and even amplified into with today's young people. I think it's powerful, like you mentioned, like you created a safe space. People were able to be creative, find ways to express themselves, and they ended up disclosing and sharing information about themselves because they felt seen and they felt heard and they felt supported. They felt like they were able to safe enough to share this information and feel like when they fell, someone was going to be able to catch them. And that's so important. I think that's what young people, that's what most of us want. Everyone wants to be seen, supported, and loved, and particularly young people who are trying to find themselves and develop themselves and, find themselves in other people and other spaces and other things. Like, it's so important and so uplifting arts and culture. Like you mentioned, it's something easily, I believe too, like it's something to easily implement, but it seems to be a struggle. I don't think like people want to necessarily support it because sometimes it's not quantifiable or researchable or whatever. But there's ways that we can be innovative and figuring out how arts and culture impacts health and particularly health and outcomes for like marginalized communities,
yes,
i.e. young people of color. So I think that was pretty dope. Thank you for sharing that. So what is your, within that, what would be your call to action to organizations, based on your experience, not even beyond that, based on your experience as a person living with HIV, a person who's done work in the field of HIV, what are some key issues that you've recognized, and then call to actions on things that we should address? If we really are talking about ending the HIV epidemic, and we really are talking about ensuring that young people are included in this space and really make an impact in that.
Yeah, well, sorry, y'all. If you see me look off screen, it's because I'm also streaming on 2 other platforms, right? So if I say thank you to people, like that's just what it is, just so you know. But okay, so I'm gonna say 2 things. One thing I'm just gonna say, and we're gonna move on. And the other thing I'll expand a little more on. First, sometimes I think some organizations need to ask themselves: are you in it to end HIV, or are you in it to treat HIV? And look, and whatever your answer is, like, hey, I don't even hate on it, but you just need to understand what it is you really want to do. Aside from that, I think something that I've seen the data on it is that incorporating arts actually save facilities money. If you look at, there was a study done, I think in 2019. It's actually what I based all of my work off of as far as intervention. It was at a children's hospital in Chicago. And what they did, they started to incorporate arts programming for their patients, you know, and it was different for everything. They had visual art, they had theater, they had writing, they had photography. And what they saw was over the course of a few years, it saved the hospital money because people were more engaged in their therapy sessions. They showed up more to their doctor's appointments. They needed less pain medication, and they were more adherent to the things that they had to take every day, or what their normal regimens and routines were. So I think if there's anything that I want organizations to take away from what I say, is that sometimes we have to reframe and reshape and reconstruct the way that we look at the arts. And and unfortunately a lot of that only happens when people like have like genuine appreciation for it. But I think, you know, a lot of times people might look at things that are creative, and on paper it may not give you the payoff that you want, or you may not be able to see it. But I think that's part of trusting creativity and trusting that, and understanding, you know, the impact that that might have later down the line. And, you know, understanding like the value the value in qualitative data and qualitative outcomes, you know, that's really important, because I can have all the numbers, I can be the number that you need me to be, but if my life is miserable, then are you really helping me?
Right. I love that. You said the value of qualitative data, right? And then I think that speaks so much value. Like, we can have all the numbers we want. We can say, oh, everyone in this clinic, for instance, are engaged in care and they're virally suppressed. But like, what does it mean for their quality of life? Like, that's what I hear when you say that. Like, what is it overall mean for quality of life? And the question that you asked, I think, is a great question you pose. Like, are we in it to end the epidemic? Are we in it to end HIV, or are we in it to treat HIV? That is, if that is a question, y'all. Like, we're in this age where we're talking about ending an epidemic. That's what we got to really start at. And I think that was a great call to action. Is like, are we in this thing to treat HIV, or are we in it to end it? And if we are, we really got to think about innovation, collaboration, creativity. Like, that's going to take us, because what's working may have worked for a little bit, may work for certain people, but it ain't working for all of us. And particular communities are at risk because what's been implemented is not enough, and which we all have been talking about throughout from each panel. Like, we really got to approach this thing from a community-centered, meaningful involvement, creative approach to addressing HIV for the unique needs of particularly young people, and young Black and brown people specifically. So I thank you for that call to action. I thank you for that. And so I offer you the same thing I offer to Darian. The people are listening. We're about to give away another gift card. And so I give you the space to ask a question to our audience that you would like them to answer. And the first person who responds to Thomas's question will get the next gift card.
Ooh, so pose them a question?
Yes.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna quote I'm gonna quote Joseph Beam with this question. Okay. To quote Joseph Beam, Black men loving Black men is the revolutionary action. So I say to you, what have you done for us lately?
Let's get a response. Oh, that's good. That was good, Tom. That was good. That was good. That was good.
We love Joseph Beam. We love Joseph Beam.
And that type of innovation and community building that people like Joseph Beam represented, that's what we're talking about here.
Look, I could talk about him for hours.
Yeah. He draws a lot of us. Thank you all. In the comments, go ahead and put that question. Put your answer to that question in the comments. First person to respond. And I want to hear some good stuff.
Okay.
As Thomas said, you know, to quote Joseph Beam, Black men loving Black men is the revolutionary act. So what have you done for us lately? Oh, that's a good question.
What? Yes.
I know it got y'all thinking. I know it got the people minds going, but that's a question. Think about it for a minute and add your comments in there. Thank you again, Thomas. We're gonna see Thomas in just a little bit too. We're gonna talk about a couple of more things, but and then we're gonna come back all as a group and have some conversation. Again, I want to remind everyone to put your questions in the comments for our panelists and for everyone, our supporters and our organizers. We're gonna come together and have a larger group discussion and just a few. But again, to answer Thomas's question, particularly to quote Joseph Beam, and if you don't know Joseph Beam, you definitely can research him after this. The quote of Black men loving Black men is the revolutionary act. So what have you done for us lately? It's a very good question. So again, I encourage you all to put your questions in the comments, and we are going to push through to our next segment right before we get into our panel discussion. Again, I want to thank you all for following TIYM on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on our main YouTube page at TIYM Network. And if you have Instagram, also Instagram and TikTok, I froze. Instagram and TikTok, sorry for that. Follow TIYM Network on Instagram and TikTok. We are really looking forward to you all's support as TIYM continues to do amazing things. When I tell y'all, we have so many amazing things. Again, shout out to all of our community partners and all the organizers that helped to put this amazing event together. We want to shout out Baller Life. We want to shout out PrideNet and the All of Us study. The Pride study. We want to shout out Thrive Support Services. We want to shout out to Positive Impact Health Centers and all of our other community partners like Southern AIDS Coalition, the National Minority AIDS Council. Shout out to you all too. And shout out to everyone that's in Vegas right now during MX Biomedical Summit. And if you're taking the time to watch us, we definitely appreciate you supporting us. And we hope that everything is going to be amazing there in Vegas during your summit. So a gift card question, as Alfonso put it in the chat for us, Black Men Loving Black Men is the Revolutionary Act by Joseph Beam. So what have you done for us lately? And that is going to be a thought-provoking question, right? That is going to be a time, that's a thought-provoking question. And we would love to hear you all's responses as we continue on with our conversation. So again, I promised you all a treat. I'm really, really excited to share a little bit about TIYM and what we have planned, what we started to do, and where we plan to go. Again, we are a collective of people living with HIV-led organizations and individuals who are really coming together to develop original content and creative approaches to address the HIV community with the mission to empower, educate, and entertain the HIV community. So conversations in spaces like this can be normalized in everyday life. And so without further ado, I'm going to show you all our pitch that we put together when we first kind of came up with the collective idea of TIYM. We kind of put together a pitch. It went well. We got some support from amazing organizations. And now to the point we are developing original content right now that we are working with Emory University. Shout out to Emory University, putting together some original content to play in HIV clinics as a form of an innovative intervention and strategy, so that when people go into HIV clinics and they see original content, they see representations of themselves, they see normal everyday people having conversations around HIV and sexuality and love and relationships. What impact will it have on their ability to engage in care, to engage with their healthcare providers? And so we're excited to share with you all our pilot pitch, if you will. And so we're going to cue that up. And after that, I'll be right back after this.
So imagine this.
You're sitting in the lobby of your doctor's office, waiting patiently, or not so patiently, to hear your name or your birthday call, but you are so anxious about your lab results.
Mind is racing with questions about your body.
All while not trying to look too stressed because the cutie across the room is trying to make eye contact.
Go back to the matter right here.
This is a serious moment that could make your visit with your provider productive and empowering, or overwhelming and hollow.
This is your moment.
You should feel equipped with information that impacts your health.
This is your moment.
You should feel empowered to navigate your care team and what works to keep you healthy.
This is your moment.
You should feel comfortable enough to be your full self around all of your providers. Whether living with HIV, experiencing depression, seeking PrEP, looking for support or assistance, this is our moment to let you know we see you and have come together to make those moments before your appointment a little bit more calming.
Yes.
Educational.
Sure is.
Less stressful.
Absolutely.
All while being entertaining. But we've talked about it enough.
Now it's time. This is your moment.
The plan was to just go in, get naked and get the business. That was it.
I'm with the freaky stuff. Tell me more.
I don't even know why I'm telling you this.
No. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, that's when things got strange, man.
Did y'all use rubbers though?
No, man. We probably should have moved a little slower on that.
You undetectable. You're not passing nothing on to nobody else. You taught me that. You just gotta take care of yourself, man.
But it's different when you add someone else to the mix, man. I woke up burning.
Burning?
Yeah, man. I think Trey burnt me.
Yo, did you tell Andre?
I just found out this morning.
Hi, my name is Jamel Ashley, and I've been living with HIV since July 9th, 1988. Dear Ashley, your life was not a mistake. The circumstances in which you were born weren't by chance. You were sent to be a beacon of hope, life, and love for others. No virus can hold you back. Jamel is proud to stem from your roots. You are loved and forever remembered.
Hello, you are watching Time News, where we bring you the real news for real people in the realest way. I'm Alfonso, here to help you navigate the truth from the trash and the mess from the message. Our first story comes from the latest in HIV treatment. The FDA has approved a once-a-month injectable HIV treatment for people who qualify for the switch, but I have a few questions.
What's your current mayor's last name of Atlanta?
Bottoms.
What do you need to get filled every few days? Every 30 days, usually.
Medication? Medicine?
Another name for it.
Prescription?
Ooh, this was a big movement. The people thought they was about to end the sexual content on this particular site recently. A lot of people have moved over to this platform to make money.
OnlyFans?
This is your Queen of Affirmations. Your affirmation for the day is, I listen to my intuition and trust myself. Believe in yourself and remember that everything that's going on in your life is a reflection of who you are on the inside. Ashe. So I was having sex with this one boy, and I was real big back in the day about using condoms. And he put the condom on and then decided to put some baby oil gel on top of the condom.
Condoms.
Ew, condoms. When I think of condoms, I think about the clown that does like the balloon animals and he blows into them. It's like the long situation.
Can you use it in a sentence?
So we get to doing the do, and the condom pop, and he wanna be mad.
And with that, I thank you all I present to you all Time Network. That's just a snippet of the type of work that we are set out to do. I want to give, again, Time stands for This Is Your Moment Network, and we are more than glad that you are here to support us and continue to support the work that we do. We would love to hear your reviews and what you like, things you would like to see. We are definitely open to, We're looking for people to join in our initiatives. We're looking for people to help us create some of this original content, do some of these community engagement initiatives that we have. And I want to give a major shout out. So time, the way we are structured, it's called time. So this is your moment. Our team is made up of time management. So I want to shout out to the time management. I see time management team in the comments. We want to give a major shout out. You all met Alfonso earlier, who is our executive director, our leader, our fearless leader. I'm gonna give a major shout out. So if y'all love that video and y'all loved everything about it, was like, because it was sickening. I know y'all know it was sickening. We want to give a major shout out to our director of media, Mr. Christian. Christian is amazingly talented, and oh my God, I can't even imagine the things that we are going to do. So shout out to Christian, our director of media. Shout out to Jaquan. I see you in the comments too. He's one of our production staff team members. And shout out to all of Time. Again, you all want to continue to support us. Please follow us on social media, on Instagram, as well as TikTok. Please be sure to go to YouTube and type in @Time Network to follow our YouTube page and really see some of the new original content that's coming out. If you would like to support us, be sure you can send us an email at communitytime. That's community TIYM @gmail. If you would like to partner or like to do events or would like to find out more about what we're doing, send us an email, shoot us an email there, and we will be sure to get back to you. Thank you all for that. And if you have any questions or more about time, we will be here. But as we continue on our conversation, I want to again continue to thank our panelists for showing up. Thank you all for being present. I'm not sure if we got an answer to our question yet, but we're still looking for that answer. The first person who answers the question that Thomas so amazingly posed to us will get a gift card. But I'm going to move on to another one. If someone can name, we just saw Time, we got a preview of Time's pilot. If someone can name one of the segments, right? So that was a preview of the segments that we're going to do. If someone can name one of the Time Network segments that we just showed in that video, you will get a gift card as well. The first person can name one of those segments in the comments, you will get a gift card. And I want to hear those answers. So put those in the comments. So we'll move on to our last part of the night of our show today, and we're going to bring back all of our panelists, and we're going to have a Q&A session. I want to invite our panelists back. I want to invite our JT, our community partners, to the floor so we can have a larger group conversation. This is when we want you all to post questions in the comments, and we will be able I will be able to ask our amazing subject matter experts, our amazing activists, our amazing people doing this work. Post your questions in the comments so we can have a dialogue. I will start off with my first question to the panelists. Like, I know we all do this work, and we constantly have these conversations amongst each other, with each other. I mean, we had this conversation as we was organizing this thing, but like, what is one takeaway that you all are taking away from today's conversation and what we've been talking about from our first conversation to now? What are you taking away in regards to National Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day in your work and as you continue to make impact in community? I'll start with JT.
Stay ready. One thing that I took away from the conversations today, and first off, I want to say thank you all for being participants, but also thank you all for viewing this. This was definitely very passionate and impactful as we navigate spaces for us and future generations and older generations. So one of the things that really kind of that stuck with me was the power of inclusion. You want to understand that representation does matter, but we want to have active representation, not passive to where, hey, you're just a cute picture or you're a cute face to put in a photo to say we have you, but we want you to showcase your power, give you the resources, give you the tools so you can navigate spaces and we can support you. A lot of times people want to tell you, oh, well, we're going to do this, this, and this for you. But the reality of it is we don't need that. you're not from the communities that you're trying to represent, or you don't even have any connections to those communities. So now you're wasting resources. People are not getting their need done. But then it's like, oh, well, people don't want anything. People do want something. But when's the last time you took the time? You see that? Time to be informed, the time to be aware. When was the last time you actually did that? So for me, just having that connection, having that impact, and actually uplifting the community is really something I took away from. Being with PrideNet, we continue to partner with these different organizations that are doing the work. So for me, being the LGBTQ regional engagement coordinator of the South, I'm honored to be working with He is Valuable and Barter Life and Thrive SS and so many different partners, SAC, so many different partners that were able to come together and see the reason why we need to do this to advocate for youth. So that's my takeaway. So I'm gonna, popcorn it to Darion. So go ahead, Darion, your turn.
My takeaway is definitely being intentional about including the youth. And not just including them at the table, but being able to make sure that their voices and ideas and opinions are heard, but also helping push them to become the leaders of that table. Um, and really understanding what it really means to have a person that is meaningfully involved and not just there as a face or just there for the picture of having them there. So that's what I took from this conversation. And going into my work, I'm going to be very more intentional with how I include people at the table and how I make spaces for others.
Yeah. Thomas.
I think something that I'm taking away is just the value of uplifting the voices of those that are suffering most. It has a lot of value, and when you hold space for that, you hold space for everyone.
That's a very good point. Thank y'all for sharing. I think I agree with everything that you all have said. For me, um, I'm glad that we can like you said, provide real life examples for people on what it actually means to like bring the people who are most impacted together. And when you recognize an issue, it takes nothing to bring people together, right? Like it takes nothing to take a space to uplift people, to say, hey, we value your expertise, we value your life, we value what you have to say, and so we want to give you this time to show that you have voice, you are a subject matter expert on your life, and that this is how it can be done, right? This can be replicated, y'all. Like this, we don't have to, like I think Darion said, like we don't have to be the people having these conversations, but you all can replicate this in your communities where you uplift the voices of young people, finding that young person that's willing to speak and empowering them, but cultivating, right? What I take away from this is that we got to more than just like give space for young people, but we need to cultivate their ideas, cultivate their energy, cultivate, and pour into it, right? It's not enough to just say, hey, do this, you can do it, but like what we have to add value to it. We have to pour into it. We have to, cultivate young people around these topics. Because as mentioned, like Thomas said, like when we make space for them, for the most marginalized and the most impacted, we make space for everybody. And so it can be done. It's not as simple, it's not as hard as sometimes it can be with bureaucracy and red tape and political climates and stuff like that. This is a simple thing that can be done, and it can move mountains. And so that's what I take away from it as well. I want to go back to the comments again. I want to invite you all to ask. We're gonna take maybe about 2 more questions from you all in the comments, so I can ask our panelists. But I see we got some answers for the first question, the last question that I just asked. I see Elantra says Brotels. Yes, so Brotels was that first segment that you saw with the 2 young men talking about something that happened, a sexual act that happened, and they were having that dialogue. That was called Brotels, which is something we actually took and we've literally changed into another thing that we're gonna be releasing very soon. So y'all make sure y'all follow us on YouTube because you will not want to miss it. Time Network has its own original web series, and it's something that you will not want to miss, and you're going to see some familiar faces. And so Make sure y'all follow us so y'all can check that out. It's coming out very soon. Thank you for that, Elantra. You got the gift card. And someone who answered Thomas's question said, "What are you?" Basically quoting Josephine and speaking to the revolutionary act of black men loving black men, and really called to us like, "What have you done for us lately?" And Alante says, "I've supported black-owned businesses owned by black men." That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that, and that's what we mean support, pouring into, cultivating, collaborating, and stuff like that. So thank you, Alante, for answering that question. You too, Elantra and Alante, congratulations on getting those gift cards. Again, shout out to Positive Impact Health Center for providing us with the resources to provide those gift cards. So moving on to our next question from my good friend Droopy says, "How do you advocate for spaces for HIV negative people? The support is needed," with a question mark. So how do we advocate for spaces for HIV negative people in
I'll
this
take
work?
that. So I would love to say that, being in this space, I always felt honored because my bristas continue to call on me, and it's just not because I'm German chocolate. But they see something in me to help navigate spaces because as somebody who's negative and on PrEP, the biggest thing is being able to have a holistic view and bring people together of all aspects of life. So, this isn't like a, hey, right, the bare arms is just, we're just protecting our people, but all of our people are people. Because the same way that, my bristas will fight for me, I'm gonna go to battle for them. And this is why we continue to support each other and navigate those spaces. So the support that I have seen doing HIV work, I always had a holistic approach. And people always say, "Oh, you work with German chocolate." Well, I don't know what you do with German chocolate. Well, good. But, working with other coworkers, this person may be the person who runs, a prevention program or a maintenance program. So that kind of gave away some people's statuses at times. They're like, "Oh, you hung out with so-and-so, you must be positive." But like, "Oh, you work with German chocolate, I don't know what you got." Well, that's not your issue to worry about. Your issue is to worry about how can you support them? How can you navigate those spaces to uplift them or even just get educated? So, having these opportunities to come share these spaces with my Brista gang, it really empowers me to, continue that fight because some people are like, "Well, this isn't your fight." But at the same time, it is my fight because these are the people I love and cherish. And I know they love and cherish me back. So it's not a positive versus negative or negative versus positive or undetectable. No, this is a human versus a virus. And we're fighting the virus. But ironically, thanks to advances in medicine, we're not fighting the virus as hard as we have to. We're really having to fight stigma more than anything. Because I have taught kids, my own kids, best friends were like, "Oh, I don't mind taking a pill or getting a shot." How do we combat that mindset when people think that it's just a pill or shot and it's not? It's a whole life change, whether you're on PrEP or HIV medicines. Stigma is associated with everything. So how do you navigate that space? How do you navigate that space of being the black man to go to the health department to get medication or testing? Now, "Oh, you nasty, you going to the health department." Well, you don't have health insurance, sweetie. So where else you gonna go? So as you navigate those spaces, I want people to realize this is a us fight. We have to fight together, not against each other, but together.
Yeah. Oh, Richard, I think we lost you again with the audio, but we see you. We see you, but
We
can't
see each other. And Richard, your audio, are you talking?
But I mean, while Richard figures out his audio, I'll piggyback kind of off of what German Chocolate said over here. And I do want to say, I don't think and this might just be because I live in Los Angeles. I will totally say that. I've never had to really advocate for spaces for HIV negative people because that's kind of where everything I felt like started from here. It was more like we need and still need spaces, for people that are living with HIV. But I think what my takeaway and kind of what JT was saying and what I really feel is that when you take a holistic approach and and you realize that everybody is living with HIV, but not everybody is living with the virus, and you approach things from that point, like it's good, right? Because we all live in a world where HIV is here. So whether it is with you or not, like it's with you, you know? So I feel like that's a big part of it. And I do think that stigma really and misinformation, you know, is the biggest thing that blocks that from happening. You know, a lot of times people don't want to go to, you know, groups or spaces like that because they either think that what you're going to be talking about is bull, or they just don't want to hear it because we've been so oversaturated, or it's something that they're just like, hey, I don't want to spend my Friday doing that, or I don't want to spend my Wednesday or Thursday sitting in here, you know, and talking about this stuff. Some people just don't want to do it, right? But I think when you meet them where they are and with what they are, with the information that they do got, and you just work with where they're at and what they are working with, you know, it just sets us all up for success.
Yeah, and your audio is still messing up. But yeah, it's really important, and you know, I'm grateful to have these opportunities to continue to partner and, you know, educate people, because this is what it's all about. So, who else trying to win some gift cards? Because I got a question if Richard got some money. Richard, give me a thumbs up if you got some money so I can ask a question. All right. So the question of the night is, what two research programs are under the PrideNet umbrella? You saw the videos. What two research programs are under the PrideNet umbrella? What are we working on? I'm not sitting here just being cute and German chocolate. I'm actually doing work. But what am I doing? Put it in the chat to win a gift card from Richard. Dun, 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 dun. And Thomas is muted. Thomas is talking to his followers. It's so interesting watching Thomas talk to other people because then he does his hand motions. It is so funny.
I talk a lot.
No, we know you're on TikTok. You are. This is why we're doing this, because we need these messages to get out. We don't want anybody to feel ashamed. We want people to feel educated. We want them to feel empowered. We want these conversations to happen when we log off. Go talk to your family members. Find that support. I know Darion, your family almost made me tear up when I saw you write in the chat. You know, their support. As we navigated so many spaces, people do not have that supportive system of that direct family. So, you know, for some people, they have to have a chosen family, and there's nothing wrong against it. But it would be so much better if we had all of our families together, you know. And for you to have that, you know, dynamic, that was really powerful for me, because the support does make a difference as you navigate any type of space. Being a Black man, being a queer man, being a man, just having that support really really did make an impact for me. So I want to say thank you to you and your family.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So while we're waiting on this, I guess nobody want no money. Like, y'all making me sad, because
I'll be like, look, shoot.
I tell you the answer, you're gonna throw me some dollars. But no, so in the meantime, do y'all have any upcoming events happening on your side of the woods or anything?
Oh, is Richard back?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay.
But yeah, so do y'all have any upcoming events happening on your end?
Well, in my world, Thomas is focused on his master's and school. Everything else is just, it's not on the horizon at the moment. But there is one project that I am working on that kind of, well, not kind of, it does correlate to this. If any of you all know the story of Ruth Coker Burks, also referred to as the Cemetery Angel, there's a memorial to it was a family cemetery plot that she let untold amounts of people that died from age-related complications. She let them be buried there because they weren't allowed anywhere else. So I'm actually writing a short play about that based on an interview that I did with her. So that's something that'll be forthcoming. But it's not going to be. It's nowhere close to the horizon. So right now I'm just in the process of writing it. But yeah, just all creative over here right now.
Awesome, awesome. Darian? Well, I know one thing that we're working on with Thrive SS and some other health departments in the Atlanta area. If you will be in the Atlanta area June 17th at 6 p.m., stay tuned. We are throwing an LGBTQIA plus prom. And guess how much it costs? Free 99 minus the 99. So it's free. We want you to come out, get decked out. This is a prom like no other. We know so many people never had the opportunity to go to prom with their, designated partners. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you to come. You have to RSVP though. This is going to be big, big, big. We're going to do it up. Your boy is going to be German chocolate. Like it's over. So I want to see y'all June 17th in Atlanta. Stay tuned for more details for this great collaboration between PrideNet, Thrive SS, and some other health department agencies.
Thank
So
you
Richard,
for
what
that.
up?
Thank you,
Since
Jonathan. I
nobody
see
want to
your
get this
message.
money.
You said y'all had time
Oh,
today.
I
Thank
see
you
one
all for
person.
sharing your stories and support. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan, make sure we got your information. I think you were one of the first people to win a gift card. Just make sure we get your information. We'll reach out. We got to find a way to get in contact with you. If you want to share your email so we can get in contact with you to make sure we get you your gift card. And thank you for your support. Shout out to the pro.
Yeah, so that's one of the answers. So boom, go ahead and give some money. Ah. All right, Jonathan. Jonathan said they'll be there. Come on, you can be dancing and emphasizing. Okay? Don't let your haircut be boring. We about to be in there dancing, having a great time at the prom. And Richard, audio decided to do the same thing again. This is what happened when you're having great impact. It doesn't want you to talk.
No shade, no shade, but it's okay. It's okay.
So, as one of our partners, we do have Barler Life on in the background doing tech. Do you have any events coming up, Cody? Nope, Richard, we cannot hear you.
Well, in the meantime,
Okay. In between times, this was a time to be what? Informed, aware, and to listen. And as we continue to navigate these spaces, we want you to go ahead and follow all of these great organizations. Time Network, He is Valuable, Baller Life, the Pride Net with the All of Us research program, as well as the Pride Study, Positive Impact Health Centers, Thrive SS, Southern AIDS Coalition, NMAC, and so many more.
by my disposition, I am ready to be done. But I love them. But I'm like, baby, figure out these technical issues, girl, because we are.
You're still live. So, in the meantime, we want to thank you all for joining this great event. We want to continue to navigate these spaces and navigate these different conversations. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. But thank you just for the opportunity to share these powerful, impactful stories. So continue to be well, be safe, and continue to be you. You have a wonderful evening, everybody. Goodbye.